I am Nora Coleman, 52 years old, and I've spent the better part of 3 decades bringing dead cameras back to life. My hands know the weight of German precision, the temperament of Japanese innovation, and the stubborn pride of American craftsmanship. Today, those same hands grip the door handle of a stranger's Honda Civic, wondering what the hell I'd gotten myself into. "You the antique lady?" The woman behind the wheel didn't look up from her phone. Sharp suit, sharper voice. Everything about her screamed prosecutor, which shouldn't have surprised me since that's exactly what she was. "Camera restoration specialist," I corrected, sliding into the passenger seat. The car smelled like expensive perfume and ambition. She finally looked at me. Steel blue eyes, blonde hair pulled back so tight it could cut glass. Kira Brooks, according to the rideshare app. Beautiful in that untouchable sort of way that made sensible women like me keep their distance. Right. She pulled into traffic with military precision. "Arlington Camera Show? Same destination, different worlds," I muttered, clutching my worn leather messenger bag. The radio droned legal news while Virginia countryside blurred past. I tried to focus on my notes for tomorrow's exhibition, but those blue eyes kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror. Professional curiosity, I told myself. Nothing more. Then my Leica thief started acting up. The damn thing had been my grandfather's, temperamental as an old jazz musician. I pulled it out, running diagnostic fingers across its familiar contours. Problem? Just needs gentle persuasion. I adjusted the shutter mechanism, feeling that satisfying click when everything aligned. "She's been with my family since 1952. Kira's hands relaxed on the steering wheel. "My grandmother had one of those. Never worked properly. They need understanding, not force." Something shifted in her expression, softer, curious. "Show me." For the next 2 hours, I found myself explaining the poetry of mechanical precision to someone who prosecuted criminals for a living. She asked intelligent questions, her fingers occasionally brushing mine as I demonstrated different techniques. Each touch sent unfamiliar electricity up my arm. "My cases usually involve broken lives, not broken machines," she said as we crossed into Arlington. "Both need patience to repair." She smiled then. A real smile, not the courtroom version. It transformed her completely. "Maybe you could fix my grandmother's camera sometime." I nodded, knowing I'd probably say yes to anything this woman asked. And that terrified me more than any complicated restoration project ever had. But damn if I wasn't already looking forward to seeing those blue eyes again. The exhibition center appeared ahead, our unlikely journey almost over. Neither of us moved to get out immediately. "This was unexpected," Kira said softly. "The best things usually are." 3 weeks later, Kira Brooks walked into my shop carrying an evidence bag like it contained nuclear secrets. The bell above my door chimed, but my heart practically rang cathedral bells seeing those steel blue eyes again. "Ms. Coleman." "All business this morning, sharp suit armor firmly in place. I need expert testimony regarding camera equipment authenticity. Professional, safe. We were going to pretend the car ride never happened." "Of course." I gestured toward my workbench, where dozens of vintage cameras waited patiently for resurrection. "What's the case?" She placed the evidence bag on my counter with reverent care. Inside sat a pristine Hasselblad 500C, supposedly stolen from an estate sale. The kind of camera that made collectors weep with desire. Defendant claims it's a family heirloom. Prosecution believes otherwise. I slipped on cotton gloves, lifting the camera like a newborn. Immediately, something felt wrong. The weight distribution, the finish quality. My fingers found tiny inconsistencies that spoke volumes. "Reproduction," I said without hesitation. "Very good one, but fake." Kira leaned closer, her perfume mixing with the oil and metal scents of my workshop. "How can you tell?" "Here." I guided her hand to the focusing ring, our fingers overlapping. That same electric touch from the car, but stronger now. "Feel the resistance? Original Hasselblads have silk-smooth mechanisms. This catches slightly." Her breath hitched when I adjusted her grip, showing her the proper technique. For a moment, neither of us moved. Professional boundaries blurred like an improperly focused photograph. "The serial numbers will confirm it," I said quietly, stepping back before I did something completely unprofessional. "You're remarkable at this." Heat crept up my neck. Machines are easier than people. They don't lie. Neither do you, apparently. 2 days later, she returned. Different case, different camera. Same magnetic pull that made my workshop feel suddenly too small. We spent an hour examining a supposedly stolen Nikon F, our conversations, drifting from technical specifications to personal observations. I pass your coffee shop every morning, she mentioned casually while I cleaned the camera's prism. Brewster's? I'm usually there by 8. I know. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. The next morning, I lingered longer than usual over my cappuccino, pretending to read camera magazines while watching the door. At 8:15, Kira appeared like clockwork, ordering something complicated that took forever to prepare. Mind if I sit? She gestured to my table, balancing her drink carefully. Free country. Prosecutor's daughter learns proper interrogation techniques early. Camera repairwoman's daughter learns patience. We smiled at each other across the small table, playing a delicate game neither of us wanted to name. Her fingers traced the rim of her cup, while mine fidgeted with my reading glasses. Your grandmother's camera, I said eventually. Still interested in getting it fixed? Those blue eyes lit up. You'd do that? Professional courtesy. But we both knew it was becoming something far more dangerous than professional anything. Our morning coffee meetings became a carefully choreographed dance. Kira would arrive at 8:15 sharp, ordering her ridiculously complicated vanilla oat milk latte with an extra shot. I'd pretend to read Vintage Camera Monthly while stealing glances at her sharp profile as she worked on legal briefs. You realize we're being absurd, she said one morning, not looking up from her papers. Speak for yourself. I'm just drinking coffee. In the same spot, every single day. Convenient location. She finally looked at me, those blue eyes holding something dangerous. For what? I didn't answer because we both knew the truth would change everything. The breakthrough came when I mentioned the Pemberton Estate auction. 300 vintage cameras going under the hammer, including a legendary Leica M3 that collectors would kill for. I've never been to an auction. Kira's admission surprised me. Educational experience. Professional development. For camera authentication? Sure. That. Saturday morning found us driving together again, this time in my ancient Subaru that smelled like lens cleaning solution and time. Kira had abandoned her courtroom armor for dark jeans and a cream sweater that made her look younger, softer. Nervous? I asked as we pulled into the auction house parking lot. Competitive streak. Occupational hazard. The auction was intoxicating. Hundreds of cameras lined display tables like fallen soldiers awaiting resurrection. Kira followed me through the maze, asking intelligent questions while I explained the subtle differences between models and manufacturers. This one's special, I said, stopping before a pristine Canon A&E1. First serious camera I ever owned. Kira lifted it carefully, mimicking the technique I'd taught her. Heavy. Good weight. Means quality construction. Her fingers found the shutter button, pressing gently. The mechanical click echoed between us like a promise. When the bidding started, I watched Kira transform. Prosecutor mode engaged, she studied other bidders like potential jury members, calculating strategy and timing. I bid on 3 cameras, winning 2, while she observed my technique with professional interest. You're ruthless, she said as we loaded my purchases into the car. Selective. There's a difference. Teach me. Something in her tone made me look closer. This wasn't about cameras anymore. Dinner happened naturally. A small Italian place where candlelight flickered against wine glasses and conversation flowed like good vintage. Kira talked about law school pressures, the loneliness of always being the smartest person in the room. I shared stories about inherited family business expectations, the weight of preserving other people's memories. Never married? The question came quietly, almost lost in restaurant noise. Once. Long time ago. You? Engaged twice. Never made it to the altar. Cold feet? Wrong people. She met my eyes directly. What about your marriage? Right person, wrong timing. He wanted children, traditional life. I wanted to travel, restore cameras in Paris studios. Regrets? Only that I waited so long to figure out what I actually wanted. The walk to our cars stretched longer than necessary. Autumn air carried the scent of burning leaves and possibilities. When we reached my Subaru, Kira stopped, turning to face me under the streetlight. "This is complicated," she said softly. "Everything worthwhile is. I'm not sure I know how to do this." "Do what?" Instead of answering, she stepped closer. Close enough that I could see gold flecks in those blue eyes, smell her subtle perfume mixing with cool night air. Her hand reached up, fingers tracing the line of my jaw with photographer's precision. "This," she whispered, and kissed me. Soft at first, tentative. Then deeper when I responded, my hands finding her waist, pulling her closer against my car. 22 years separated us, but in that moment, time collapsed like a broken shutter mechanism. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. "Damn," she murmured. "Yeah, damn." We stood there, holding each other in the parking lot shadows, knowing everything had just changed forever. The kiss changed everything and nothing. We still met for coffee, still maintained professional distance when Kira brought cases to my shop. But now electricity crackled between us like exposed camera flash wiring, dangerous and impossible to ignore. "You're avoiding me," she said one morning at Brewster's, stirring her latte with unnecessary aggression. "I'm right here. Physically. Emotionally, you've retreated behind some kind of protective lens cap." She wasn't wrong. The kiss had terrified me more than any complex restoration project. 22 years younger, successful prosecutor, could have anyone she wanted. I was just a middle-aged woman who talked to cameras. That afternoon, storm clouds gathered over Arlington like divine commentary on my cowardice. Rain started just as I locked up the shop, fat drops turning to sheets within minutes. I was fumbling with my keys when Kira's voice cut through the downpour. "Let me in." She stood soaked on my doorstep, blonde hair darkened by rain, that crisp professional facade completely demolished. I opened the door wordlessly. "I brought wine," she said, holding up a bottle, "and an excuse about needing relationship advice." "Do you need relationship advice?" "Yeah. About this one." I led her upstairs to my apartment above the shop, grabbing towels while she dripped on my hardwood floors. The space reflected 30 years of collected camera equipment mixed with comfortable furniture chosen for function over style. "It's very you," she said, accepting a towel and dry shirt. "Meaning? Authentic. No pretense." I opened her wine while she changed in my bathroom, trying not to think about her removing wet clothes just 20 feet away. When she emerged in my oversized Georgetown University shirt, looking impossibly young and beautiful, my resolve crumbled completely. "We need to talk," I started. "No, we need to stop overthinking." She crossed my living room in 3 steps, taking the wine glasses from my hands and setting them aside. This time, when she kissed me, there was nothing tentative about it. Her hands tangled in my graying hair, while mine found the small of her back, pulling her closer. "I'm 52, I whispered against her lips. "I'm 30 and scared as hell." "Of what?" "Of how much I want this. Want you." Rain drummed against my windows while we kissed with increasing urgency. Her tongue traced my lower lip while my hands mapped the curve of her spine through thin cotton. When she pulled back, her pupils were dilated, breathing uneven. I've never felt this way about a woman before. Never? Wondered about it. College experiments don't count. I cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone. "This isn't experimenting. No, this is terrifying." She kissed me again, deeper this time, backing me toward my bedroom with prosecutor persistence. We moved together like longtime lovers despite our obvious inexperience, her hands, learning the geography of my body while I memorized every sound she made. Later we lay tangled in my sheets, rain still pattering outside. Kira's fingers traced lazy patterns on my shoulder while I studied her profile in lamplight. "I should go," she said without moving. "Should. People will talk if they see my car. Let them." But morning brought reality crashing back. Kira woke disoriented, checking her phone with practiced efficiency. The soft woman from last night disappeared behind professional armor as she dressed. "This complicates things," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Only if we let it. I have a reputation to maintain. Career considerations." Of course. She paused at my bedroom door, looking lost. I don't know how to do this, Nora. Neither do I. But we'll figure it out. She nodded, kissed me briefly, and left. I listened to her car disappear down the street, wondering if I'd just experienced the beginning or end of something extraordinary. My reflection in the bathroom mirror revealed a 52-year-old woman with kiss-swollen lips and hope flickering in her tired eyes. Maybe, just maybe, some things were worth the risk. For 3 days, Kira transformed into a ghost. No coffee shop appearances, no evidence consultations, no text messages. I told myself this was normal post-intimacy panic, but doubt gnawed at me like a malfunctioning camera shutter. Thursday afternoon brought clarity in the worst possible way. Gianna Patterson walked into my shop like she owned it. Tall, severe, perfectly pressed in prosecutor's armor that matched Kira's preferred style, dark hair pulled into a weapon-sharp bun, brown eyes calculating my worth in milliseconds. Ms. Coleman. No pleasantries. We need to discuss Kira Brooks. My hands stilled on the Canon A&E1 I was repairing. Professional matter? Personal. Very personal. She placed photographs on my counter. Kira and me at the auction, heads bent together over cameras. Kira and me walking to our cars after dinner. Innocent enough individually, but the sequence told a clear story. 15 years, Gianna said quietly. I've been in love with her for 15 years. The admission hit like physical force. I see. Law school roommates, partners in practice. I've watched her choose wrong men repeatedly, waiting for her to realize what was right in front of her. I set down my tools, meeting her stare directly. And now? Now she's risking her career for some middle-aged woman with grease under her fingernails. The insult stung because it contained truth. I was exactly that unfashionable craftsperson who'd somehow captured Kira's attention. What do you want? End it. Whatever this is, end it before she destroys herself. That's her choice to make. Gianna's professional mask slipped, revealing desperate pain underneath. She doesn't know what she wants. Never has. I've cleaned up her romantic disasters for years. Maybe she's tired of being managed. You think you know her? Gianna's voice turned sharp. Kira needs stability, not some experimental phase with a woman old enough to be her mother. The age comment landed like a physical blow, confirming every insecurity I'd harbored about our relationship. I never claimed to know her, I said carefully. Good. Because I'm prepared to make this very public if necessary. She gathered her photos, leaving implicit threats hanging in the air like dust motes. After she left, I sat among my broken cameras, wondering if some things were too damaged to repair. That evening, Kira finally appeared at my door. Exhausted, disheveled, clutching a bottle of wine like a lifeline. Rough day, she said, attempting casual conversation. Gianna stopped by. Kira's face went pale. What did she say? That she loves you. Has for 15 years. Damn. Kira sank onto my couch, head in her hands. She told you that? Among other things. What else? I poured wine, buying time to find diplomatic words. She's concerned about your career. My career? Kira's voice turned sharp. Or her chances with me? Both, probably. Kira stood, pacing my small living room like a caged prosecutor. She's been my safety net forever. Reliable Gianna. Always there when relationships exploded. But you never saw her that way? I tried. We dated briefly after law school. Nothing. No spark, no chemistry, just comfortable friendship. And now? Now she's using our history as emotional blackmail. But I could see doubt creeping into Kira's expressions, the weight of long friendship and professional partnership against whatever we were building. She's not wrong about the complications, I said quietly. Don't. 22 years, Kira. Different worlds, different priorities. Stop. She crossed to me, cupping my face in her hands. I don't care about age or complications. You should. Why? Because it's safer to choose what everyone expects? Her eyes blazed with something fierce and determined. But underneath, I saw the uncertainty Gianna had identified. Kira was brave in courtrooms, fearless with criminals, but terrified of disappointing people who mattered to her. I need time to think, she said finally. I nodded, kissing her palm before she pulled away. Take all the time you need. But as she left, I knew Gianna's seeds of doubt had found fertile ground in both our minds. A week passed without word from Kira. I threw myself into work, restoring a temperamental pentax that required complete disassembly, anything to stop imagining her choosing safe familiarity over dangerous possibility. Tuesday night brought unexpected salvation. My doorbell rang at 9:30, sharp and insistent. Through the peephole, I saw Kira looking like she'd fought a war and lost. Let me in, she said when I opened the door. Kira, it's late. I just spent 3 hours with Gianna. She made her position very clear. She pushed past me into my apartment, pacing again. Her professional facade was completely shattered, replaced by something raw and desperate. She offered me partnership in the firm. Full partnership, Nora. Everything I've worked toward. My heart sank. Congratulations. With conditions. I end whatever this is with you. Publicly acknowledge it was a mistake. Sounds like a good deal. She stopped pacing, turning to face me with blazing eyes. Are you serious? I'm practical. She's offering you everything. Everything except what I actually want. Which is? Instead of answering, she crossed my living room in 3 quick steps. Her hands framed my face, thumbs stroking my cheekbones with desperate tenderness. You, she whispered. I want you, Nora. Not safety, not expectations. You. She kissed me then, fierce and hungry. All the tension and doubt of the past week poured into that contact. Her tongue demanding entrance while her hands tangled in my graying hair. I responded helplessly, months of careful restraint dissolving under her assault. Bedroom. She breathed against my lips. Now? I led her upstairs, both of us shedding clothes along the way. Professional armor discarded, she was luminous in lamplight. Younger body, softer curves. But her eyes held ancient hunger. We fell onto my bed together, hands mapping familiar territories with new urgency. She kissed my throat while I traced the length of her spine, both of us whispering confessions between gasps. When she moved above me, blonde hair falling like curtains around our faces, I saw my future reflected in her steel blue eyes. I love you, she said, the words catching us both by surprise. Kira. I know it's crazy. I know it complicates everything. But I love you. I pulled her down, kissing away the tears I hadn't noticed falling. I love you too. We made love with desperate tenderness, claiming each other completely. Her mouth on my skin, my hands worshipping her body, both of us drowning in sensation and emotion. When she cried out my name, arching beneath my touch, I felt something broken inside me finally heal. Afterward, we lay entwined, her head on my chest while I stroked her damp hair. What happens now? I asked quietly. I don't know. Gianna made it clear she'll make things difficult. For both of us. Probably. Kira lifted her head, studying my face in the dim light. Are you willing to fight for this? I thought about my quiet life, my predictable routines, the safety of loving only broken cameras that couldn't break my heart in return. Yes, I said, meaning it completely. Her smile transformed everything. Good, because I just burned some very important bridges. Any regrets? Only that I waited so long to jump. She kissed me again, soft and promising. Outside, Arlington slept peacefully, unaware that 2 women had just chosen love over logic, passion over practicality. For the first time in years, the future felt uncertain and beautiful. 3 blissful weeks passed before Gianna struck. 3 weeks of stolen mornings, Kira sneaking coffee to my shop before court. 3 weeks of evening dinners where we talked about everything except the sword hanging over us. The attack came through official channels, district attorney's office, investigating potential conflicts of interest in cases where I'd provided expert testimony. My phone rang at 7 a.m. They're auditing every case file you've testified on for the past 5 years, Kira said without preamble. I gripped the phone tighter. Gianna? Who else? She's claiming potential bias, questioning your objectivity. Jesus. It gets worse. She filed a formal complaint with the Bar Association about my professional conduct. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. What kind of complaint? Inappropriate relationship with a prosecution witness. Compromised judgment. Career-ending stuff, Nora. I sank onto my workshop stool, surrounded by camera remnants that seemed to mock my own dismantled life. Maybe we should take a break, let things cool down. Absolutely not. Kira, be rational. Your career matters more than whatever this is. Stop calling it whatever this is. We're in love, say it. Being in love doesn't pay mortgages or protect reputations. The silence stretched like ripped film. When she spoke again, her voice was prosecutor cold. I see. When the pressure gets real, you fold. I'm being practical. You're being a coward. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, knowing she was right, but unable to see another path forward. For 2 days, I heard nothing. Then Friday afternoon, she walked into my shop like an avenging angel. Sharp suit, severe expression, but her eyes blazed with something dangerous. We need to finish this, she said. There's nothing to finish. You made the smart choice. Did I? Let me tell you about my smart choice. She moved closer, backing me against my workbench. I spent yesterday in meetings with senior partners, discussing my future. Very promising future, according to them. Good. Gianna was there, supportive as always, pointing out how this unfortunate situation could be put behind us. She's protecting you. She's manipulating me, just like you're doing right now. I tried to step away, but she blocked my escape, close enough to smell her perfume, see the gold flecks in her angry eyes. I'm protecting you too. From what? Love? Happiness? The terrifying possibility that age doesn't matter when two people connect? From destroying your career for a woman old enough to be your mother. The words hung between us like weapons. Her face went pale, then flushed with fury. That's what this is really about. Not my career, not Gianna's threats. Your insecurity. Maybe. Definitely. She cupped my face in her hands, forcing me to meet her gaze. Listen to me carefully. I don't care that you're 52. I don't care that I'm supposed to want someone younger, more ambitious. I care that you make me feel alive. Kira, I quit my job yesterday. The words hit like physical force. What? Walked right out of that meeting, handed in my resignation, effective immediately. You can't do that. Your whole career was suffocating me, has been for years. She smiled, and it was radiant. I'm starting my own practice. Family law, civil rights, things that matter. Because of me? Because of us. Because I'm tired of living other people's expectations. She kissed me then, soft and deep. All the fear and longing of the past few days poured between us, her hands in my hair while I held her like salvation. I love you, she whispered against my lips. Stubborn, scared, beautiful you. I love you too. But this is insane. The best things usually are. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. No more running, she said firmly. From me, from this, from what we could be together. I nodded, knowing she was right. Knowing I'd been a coward, letting fear override everything good between us. What about Gianna? Gianna will learn to live with disappointment, just like everyone else who tries to control other people's happiness. She kissed me again, claiming and promising simultaneously. Outside, Arlington hummed with ordinary life, unaware that two women were choosing extraordinary love over safe alternatives. Kira's dramatic resignation should have ended our problems. Instead, it made Gianna desperate. I learned this when 30 protesters appeared outside my shop Tuesday morning, waving signs about protecting traditional values and inappropriate influences on our youth. How the hell did this happen? I asked, watching from my upstairs window as news vans arrived. Kira stood beside me, still in her bathrobe, coffee forgotten in her hands. Gianna knows people, conservative groups, family values organizations. She's weaponizing them. Against us? Against me. Your collateral damage. The protesters chanted something about corruption and moral decay, while reporters interviewed random passers-by. My quiet life officially exploded into public spectacle. I need to go down there, Kira said, moving toward my closet. Absolutely not. They're destroying your business because of me. Our business. Our choice. She turned, studying my face. When did you get so brave? when I realized losing you scared me more than losing everything else. 2 hours later, Kira Brooks emerged from my shop like a prosecutorial hurricane. She'd chosen her most commanding suit, armor for battle. I watched from the window as she approached the news crews with predatory confidence. "Miss Brooks," a reporter called out, "care to comment on allegations of professional misconduct?" "I care to comment on organized harassment," Kira replied smoothly. "A small group of individuals, led by my former colleague Gianna Patterson, are attempting to destroy a respected business owner's livelihood because they disapprove of my personal choices." The reporter perked up. "You're saying this is personal?" "I'm saying this is pathetic. Miss Patterson has been unable to accept that I'm not romantically interested in her. Rather than handle rejection gracefully, she's mobilized her political connections to create this circus." Damn. Even from my window, I could see Gianna's face drain of color. Kira had just publicly ended Gianna's career with surgical precision. "What about your relationship with camera expert Nora Coleman?" Another reporter pressed. "What about it? Two consenting adults, conducting a private relationship that threatens no one except narrow-minded busybodies. The age difference has raised some eyebrows." Kira's smile turned predatory. "Has it? How interesting. When older men date younger women, we call it normal. When two women choose each other, suddenly everyone becomes a moral authority." She turned, looking directly up at my window. "I'm 30 years old. I'm perfectly capable of choosing whom to love without public approval or professional oversight." The crowd began dispersing as reporters got their sound bites. Within an hour, my street returned to normal quiet. I found Kira in my kitchen, making sandwiches like she just handled routine business instead of career-ending warfare. "You destroyed her," I said. "She destroyed herself. I just provided accurate reporting. Your former colleagues won't appreciate being dragged into this." "My former colleagues can kiss my professionally qualified ass." I laughed, despite everything. "Very ladylike. I'm done being ladylike. Done being appropriate." She set down the knife, crossing to me with determined steps. "Done pretending I don't want to drag you upstairs and show you exactly how little I care about public opinion?" The kiss was fierce, demanding. Her hands fisted in my shirt while I backed her against the kitchen counter, months of restrained passion finally breaking free. "Upstairs," she breathed against my mouth. We barely made it to the bedroom before clothes started disappearing. Kira's professional armor discarded piece by piece until she stood before me in nothing but determination and desire. "I love you," she said, pulling me down onto rumpled sheets. "Even after today? After everything this might cost? Especially after today." We made love with desperate intensity, claiming each other completely while afternoon light streamed through curtains. Her mouth on my skin, my hands worshipping her body, both of us drowning in sensation and the fierce joy of choosing each other against all odds. Later, tangled together and gloriously exhausted, she traced lazy patterns on my chest while I stroked her tousled hair. "No regrets?" I asked quietly. "Only that I waited so long to fight for us. What happens now? Now we build something together. Your restoration work, my new practice. A life that belongs to us, not other people's expectations." I kissed the top of her head, tasting hope and new beginnings. 1 year later, I stand in our shared apartment watching Kira defend her first independent case on the local news. She's beautiful in that fierce prosecutor way, arguing for a same-sex couples' adoption rights with the passion that first drew me to her. "Beautiful work," I say when she walks through our door that evening. "We won." Her smile lights up everything. Full custody, no restrictions. Our home reflects both our worlds now. My camera restoration equipment shares space with her law books. Organized chaos meets careful precision, somehow creating perfect harmony. "How was your day?" she asks, loosening her tie. "Finished the restoration on that 1,940 seconds Leica. Customer nearly cried when he saw it working." "Like you did when I proposed?" I throw a couch pillow at her. That was different. The proposal had happened 3 months ago, during a camera restoration workshop I'd started teaching at Arlington Community College. Kira appeared in the back row, raising her hand like an eager student. "Yes, Ms. Brooks, I'd said, playing along. Professor Coleman, I have a question about long-term preservation techniques. The entire class turned to watch as she stood, pulling a vintage engagement ring from her jacket pocket. Art Deco platinum, perfectly maintained. Will you marry me, Nora Coleman? 20 elderly students erupted in applause while I stood frozen, holding a broken camera shutter. The ring was her grandmother's, the same woman whose camera had started our connection. That's not a preservation question, I'd finally managed. Isn't it? I want to preserve this, us, forever. Now she comes home every evening to organize domestic chaos, our lives intertwined like perfectly aligned camera mechanisms. We argue about dishwasher loading techniques, and who forgot to buy coffee, normal couple problems that feel miraculous after everything we survived. Gianna called today, Kira mentions casually, pulling Chinese takeout containers from brown bags. My hand still on the wine bottle. What did she want? To apologize. Apparently, therapy helped her realize some things about boundaries and manipulation. Therapy? Court ordered. Turns out publicly harassing former colleagues has professional consequences. We eat lo mein while Kira tells me about her expanding practice, the clients, who drive hours to work with someone who understands discrimination firsthand. Her eyes shine with purpose that never existed during her prosecutor days. Any regrets? I ask, the question that's become our evening ritual. Only that I waited 30 years to find you. After dinner, she disappears into our bedroom while I clean dishes. When she calls me upstairs, I find candles flickering throughout the space. Her grandmother's engagement ring sitting beside a small wrapped box. What's this? Anniversary present. 1 year since you stopped being a coward. Inside the box, nestled in velvet, sits a pristine camera lens. Not just any lens, but a legendary Carl Zeiss 50mm from 1952. The same year my grandfather bought his Leica. Kira, this cost a fortune. Worth every penny. Read the inscription. Engraved around the lens mount in delicate script, through your eyes I see forever. Love, Kay. I look up to find her watching me with that soft expression reserved. For private moments, professional armor completely abandoned. It's perfect, I whisper. Like us. She kisses me then, gentle and promising. We've learned each other's rhythms over the past year, the way she likes her. Morning coffee, how I need silence while working on delicate restorations. Love settling into comfortable patterns without losing its essential fire. Later, lying in darkness with her head on my chest, I think about the journey that brought us here. 2 broken women, finding wholeness in unexpected combination. No more running? She asks sleepily. Never again. Outside our window, Arlington sleeps peacefully. 2 women who chose love over fear, passion over practicality, have found their forever focus. Through the lens of love, everything finally makes perfect sense.